to Lessons Learned. I'm Sherry, and this is your Wednesday video. Today we're going to hang out again like we did last week, doing a few different things, just kind of gearing up for the long arm extravaganza. And if you don't know what that is just my little name for catching up on long arm projects. That's not what we're going to do today, but that begins November 1st and goes through the end of the year, and I try to get as many of my quilt tops that I've made during the year long armed and bound if possible. Last year I fell just a little bit short of getting everything done, but I have high hopes that this year I will make some good progress and at least get long armed what I've done this year, along with some projects that I had left over from last year. So we will see how that goes. But to gear my mind up for that, I'm trying to tie up some loose ends. Just nothing really important, just a few things, you know, like we just did the Blues Batik quilt. That's out of the way. The auction is going on now. If you want to go bid on that quilt or see that, you can find that in the description box, a eBay listing there. And then I'm just going to do some scrap processing today, and I'm also going to finish up some of these little projects that need tidying up, which is putting binding on these two small projects. So I'm in the house, as you've noticed, just a little bit different scenery here, but I like to use the Juki machine for doing bindings because it just does such a fantastic job. So I'm going to change the camera angle so you can watch me do that and maybe get a little familiar with the Juki here that I have. I don't even know what it's called. It's HZL something. So it's an automated machine. It's actually a computerized machine, and it does a lot of stuff, and we're not completely familiar with it yet, but it is serving us well. Mark loves it, and I like it for bindings. So hopefully we can learn some other things we can do for it, like quilt labels and things like that too in the future. So let me get going on these bindings so we can get some of the other loose ends tied up today. I love these little Lori Holt boards that you can put your binding on. They're kind of big, but that's good for me because that way I don't lose my binding. So, you know, in the past I've had a hard time finding the bindings that I pre-made for quilts. They just ended up in odd places, or I ended up remaking them because I couldn't find them. And with these big boards here, not likely to get lost. So you can get these on Fat Quarter Shop or any place that sells Lori Holt stuff. So well worth the money for these. I don't remember how much they cost, but I know that it is well worth it, whatever it was. So on this Autumn Nights, I just used the backing fabric for the binding. So I'm just gonna sew that onto the back and then pull it over to the front and sew it to the front. I have a gray thread on here, which is not super ideal, but I will use that for this side because this side won't be seen. And then after that, I'll either change the top thread, or actually I should change both of the threads, shouldn't I? Well, I'm just going to be lazy and put these on here first on the back, and then I'll change the thread for both of them. Old habits are hard to break. Did you see me reaching up here for the buttons that I didn't need to use because my foot pedal would do it? Oh well. So I'm here at the end and I'm going to try to cut a little bit of this off here and then figure out how much to cut off here. That's the width. This is something that always trips me up. But you know who's really good at it? Mark. He has a memory pattern on how these are set together to always be able to get them together correctly. I do not. So I have to fiddle and carry on with it and usually rip it out a couple times. So I'm going to see if I can get this right. I always want to do this, but I don't think that's right, is it? I think I always get Blue's chasing a squirrel through the window. So let me see if I do it this way. Mark's not here, so I'm having to wing it by myself. He just comes right over here and lines it up for me. I wish I could do that by myself. Let's see how bad this is going to be. Nope. Didn't do it. So let me troubleshoot on what I did wrong. So I need to actually do it the other way. Seam rip time. If I don't get it on the second try, I usually just do it straight up and down. I know that's sad, isn't it? Here I am trying to teach you all how to do some things and I can't remember how to do it myself. There's just something about it. I need to like draw myself a picture and study it over and over and over again. And then finally I will have it. Have I done that? Have I tried that? No, haven't. So there you go. Here we are. Hey, that looks right. Let's try this. I bet it's twisted. I know you're saying, well, stop and look at it and see if it's twisted. Well, I don't know which way it's supposed to twist. Let's try this. I feel so confident. I'm going to put a lock stitch. I bet anything it's twisted. Here's what's going to tell. I got it! Yay! What did I do? Couldn't tell you. Because I know next time I try to do it, I'll be going through this same thing. I remember one time, probably about a year ago, I spent 45 minutes doing and undoing until I finally got this done. So I'm getting closer. I'm getting a little bit closer to a normal amount of time to join your binding ends. Good grief, Charlie Brown. There we go. Okay, so let's do the small one. Hopefully I've got enough here. I was about to have to rip again, I thought, but I didn't. Okay, so this can go somewhere else. Let's see if we got enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, and some. We've got enough. We've got enough. You know, sometimes some of the simplest things turn out so pretty, don't you think? Look at that. That's that polyester batting that made that so fluffy like that. So pretty. I don't generally like polyester batting for my big quilts, but for these small ones it gives a lot of dimension, doesn't it? Okay, so it looks like this one, I need to turn this way. Leave a big tail and start about in the middle. I did it again. I did it right. Yay. Probably because I did 2 in a row. I need to sit and do bindings like 100 in a day, and I would finally get it probably. Yep. Got it on the first try. That's what I like. I know I mentioned this when I was making these, using this backing. This was leftover backing from a bigger project. And this is that Queen's Garden from Marshall Dry Goods. It's very, very good backing. Very good. They have it in all colors. And it just has kind of like a scrolly look to it. A little bit paisley, a little bit feathery, a little bit floral, but not much. Not too much floral. It could go easily on something that's not at all floral on the front. Okay, there we go. So I need to do a little bit of pressing and getting my corners together. Use some clips for that, and I'll do the front. I'm also going to change the thread because this is a very dark steel thread, so let me get a tan thread of some kind and put in here for this binding on the front. Here we go. I have my top stitch 3.0 for the stitch length, and I have my corners with my clips, and I put the rounded side of the clip on the bottom. Seems to work best to keep it straight on the top where you're sewing. So I'm just going down the middle of my left-hand toe of this 1/4 inch foot, which seems to be the magic place. All right, there it is. Looks pretty good. They look good. These need to be sewn down. I just hand sew that up, whip stitch it up. Looks pretty good. Glad to have that done. I do have some basting stitches here in the back from the long arming that I need to pull out. But I'll worry about that when I get ready to use it or gift it. Because you know how you give everything a really good once over when you gift it? That'll get done then. Okay, same thing with this one. I gotta trim up and press up and clip up. There we go. This one is done too. I'm really working hard on filling up my binding with the batting. As a matter of fact, on these two pieces, I actually left an extra 1/4 inch of batting hanging over the back side. Now that's all good and well unless you want to turn your batting the opposite way, which in some instances you do, or you have that preference. That won't work like that. So you can only do it if you're pulling the batting over to the front. That's the only way that will work. Another fluffy little thing here. That batting is really fluffy. I'm not used to that. It's pretty though. Alright, those two little items are off my list. So now I need to go up to the she shed and do some scrap processing, and we might also do some peach preserves wedges. You want to come with me? Let's go. How about a different angle? I'm here at the cutting board. I'm very much enjoying the emptiness of my cutting board since last Wednesday's video. It, for the most part, has stayed cleared off. Actually, it has stayed cleared off. I have been using it, but I've been clearing it off. So what I have now is the bunch of scraps from Mark's last video. It was Folk and Lore quilt with using a panel. I now have 3 quilts in this line. I love this line so much. I have 3 quilts in it now. I made 2, he made 1. And we still have a lot of scraps. But I think it's time to relegate them to the scrap categories. 2.5 inch, 5 inch, 10 inch. Maybe some width of fabric 2.5. Trying to get away from those. We'll just see what's in here. But this should take me a minute, and there will probably be some loosey scraps too. I'm hoping there is, especially some half square triangle pieces, things of that nature that I don't like to mess with. I could make another mat or 2 or 10 out of this. I don't know that I want to do that. In my heart, I want to do that, but I have bigger fish to fry down the road. You all have seen the recent acquisitions. So I'm just going to tear into this and see what kind of crazy decisions I have to make. Well, here's some selvages right off the bat. And here are some half square triangles right off the bat. A bunch of them. I should probably use those. Those would make very, very cute mats. I'm just going to sit them aside for a minute. I've had them for a long time. Ever since the Sparrows quilt. Remember the Sparrows quilt? There was a lot of waste on those. So I have a Pat Sloan pattern that I did with her with this first. And then I did the Sparrows because I had so much, and we'd gotten some from the sampler box as well. And here we are. Look at all that. That should be something, shouldn't it? Yeah. Let's do these little ones here so I can think for a second. These have got to be 2.5, I'd say. I know some of you said from the last video like this that you do 2.5 by 4.5 to do potato chip blocks. I don't do leader and ender stuff, and I don't do, super easy blocks. I mean, the 16 patch would be my preference instead of the potato chip block. The potato chip block, there's no way to really organize the colors very good in that. You have to just grab and sew, and it's just not my thing. Sorry. I know a lot of you love that, and you do turn out some pretty quilts, but it's just not my thing. Everybody's different. And I can vouch for the fact that I'm different. Don't ask Mark about that. Okay, so here's some that are bigger. I think I will kind of pull out everything that has to be cut out down to a 2.5 and then go up from there. Maybe that's how I should organize these. And that will give me a little bit of peace. Now here's a block. What do I do with that? Orphan block. Here's some more. Yeah, I'm just going to do 2.5s here, and the rest of it, we'll see. There's some browns that are not in the line. I might be able to put those in my fat quarter trays over there. Okay, you always need that random piece of solid, specific color. And you might just need a little bit of it. Is that 2.5? Yep. Sometimes you find them already cut at the right size. There's a whole bunch of squares out of grunge that I didn't use. I don't know. Okay, so this looks like what's going to be 2.5. These are be bigger. I've got undecided and brown. I'm going to stick the browns over there. This looks like actually a batik. Not exactly a good fold for fat quarter, but we'll go with it. Here's the brown. Different pieces. See what we got here. Browns are hard. I find that I can't find the right shade of brown when I need it. I'm not sure how this is going to do. See if I can get it like this. Close enough. I'm going to stick these in the fat quarter bins. Okay, let's see what we have in these big ones first. This is definitely a 5, but not, it's not 2 5s, it's just 1. That's okay. I don't need it. This is leftover backing. You know how I put that underneath the table here and I use it for bindings and such? Because it's usually length of fabric and there's a couple yards here. Yeah, there's 2 yards. So I could get how many 2.5-inch strips out of this? 1, 2, 3. I could get 3. And that would be 2, 4, 6 yards of binding. I think I might put that down here. And then that would also free up this selvage with a little extra fabric on it. That's what would be left, about like that. So I can put that in my selvages. It's kind of small. I don't know. I better put it down there though, because if I don't, and the only thing I can do is cut this in 5-inch squares. I think it would be better used as a binding on something, don't you? So let's do that. It's going to be a small piece down here, but maybe it'll stick out to me and I'll use it sooner rather than later on something. Kind of did a fussy cut with that one. If you're not going to waste that much, you should do that. There's some kind of figure on your fabric that could use somewhere in a feature block or something. Might be worth doing it that way than cutting it in the middle. Getting hot in here. I'm going to turn the heat off. I think this was confetti cotton in the color putty, and I have a bolt of that. So I'm going to stick that in with that bolt, and when I go to cut some more off of that for a project, I'll have this piece. No doubt it will be usable. So I'm going to do that right now. Yeah, it's under the table here too. You've probably seen under here where I have bolts of fabric. Not all of them are there. Some of them are propped up against the wall over here, but I just stuck that inside that bolt just now. So I have some pieces and parts. I have half square triangles. This is for Lucy. I have started my 2.5s, and then this is my 2.5 pile to be cut. And then I have a few salvages. So I'm going to have some lunch and think about this and what I really want to do with it. And I'll let you know what that is and what happens. Because I've been sitting here cutting, standing here cutting, thinking about these and thinking, why don't I just sew those up and make a nice little mat? And if I need something in between them, I've got this already here. So on and so forth. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen with these. But let me go ahead and put away what I have, and I'll be back after lunch. I'm back from lunch. I had a peanut butter sandwich and chicken noodle soup. What did you have? I got all of this pile that was here that was 2.5 inch. I've got it down into strips. So all I have to do is cut the 2.5 inch. They're all sizes. There's long ones and short ones and what have you. All I have to do is just get them down to this size. I may do that later because there's quite a bit here. I'm going to go ahead and put my 5 inches away, my salvages away. I think I said that. This is some more Lucy bin from these. And then what I decided to do was take this pile here with all those cutoffs, half square triangles. I need to sew them. And the grunge pieces, I will make a mat out of those. So I'm going to put that back in this bag. And I'm not going to let that sit too long. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. But it's going to be soon. So that's that for now. So let's go over to the sewing machine and do some sewing. Let's do some of these. So if you look, I have to, I showed you this the other day, I have to make this wedge like this. So you make this part of the wedge, and then you make this part of the wedge, and then you join the two pieces in the middle. So that's what I'm doing. I have this much fabric left. I don't know how many wedges I have left exactly. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 at the most. So I'm going to work on some of these And you can just kind of follow along and watch me do this. At least a couple. Let's see what I'm doing. We'll see how far I get. There's my top part of my wedge. Now here's my bottom part of my wedge. Where did I pull from? Here. I'm trying to use an equal amount of wedges. Of these wedges. These are diamonds actually. By rotating through my stacks here. So that is one. Hope the lighting is good for you. So I'm going to take this right here and sew it first. And I always have to get these just right. And sometimes I test exactly where they're going to open. And make sure it's going to open right. Because from one seam to the next, I can't seem to remember. It's kind of like that binding thing earlier, you know. It's like you would think after you did something a few hundred times, you would have some recollection of how to do it the next time. But some things just don't register with my brain right away. Or even after a long time. So I just kind of finger press this over towards this part, and then I'll put the other side on like this. So it looks like you're looking at a lot of white table. Maybe I'll change that in just a second. Let me get this sewn up, and then I'll change your position. And that pretty much came out as close as I could get it. This side's just a little hair off, but it's okay. Now I can do these bottom pieces. Let me change that angle again. That's a little bit better. The problem is I have my phone, which I'm recording on, with the charger cord on it. And that is just making it hard to get a good position because the little charger cord will only go so far. I need to get a longer one. Actually, you know what? I do have a longer one in the house. I just bought some. I think, unless it was for my iPad, I should bring one of those out here. I bought a package of 3. And I've only used one of them so far. So that turned out nice. So that goes towards the center there. There we go. Now I need to go over and iron these towards the peach before I connect the 2 pieces together, the 2 sections together. But I'm going to try something. I'm going to try to do some chain piecing here. Let me see, where could I put these? Let me put them over here. And I'll try to keep everything in order. That means this one goes here. Okay. I like to go ahead and get the whole thing together, even though I do it in sections. And then that means I need one of these and one of these for the bottom. like that. So let me see if I can get a bunch of these sewed up and then go press. Let me see if I can get 5 done. Do you all have those stink bugs? I smell a stink bug right now, and that usually means I stepped on one in here. Because, you know, you don't smash a stink bug unless you want to smell that terrible smell. Which, I don't know anybody that likes it. I've heard of people who like the smell of skunk. Are any of you out there people who like the smell of skunk? I've never been one of those. Or are you one of those people who like the taste of cilantro, or it tastes like soap to you? I like cilantro. I think that's interesting how some people feel like it tastes like soap. I just don't get that at all. But yeah, the stink bugs have kind of taken over, and they hibernate or something, and they try to come in. Well, they do get in. I don't know how it is, but they can flatten themselves out pretty good to be able to get in. And I haven't seen a ton of them this year in the she shed. I've had years where, you know, they're buzzing around my head. But I haven't had that this year. So either they got in on a day that I wasn't in here, they just came in and hibernated, or there's not as many. I don't know. But they sure are stinky when you step on one. When I was a kid, it was a rare sighting. At least for me it was. To see a stink bug. And you know, you only smashed one time to realize that that's not a good idea. I'll never do that again. Okay. There's 2. Let's keep on a-going here. There's a piece of machinery up the road here that's making a tapping sound. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's just a tap, 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 tap. What it is they're trying to dig through rock. So they're trying to break through some rock, probably to make a road or a driveway or something. Lots and lots of construction going on the main road here, and it's driving all of us crazy. But this too shall pass, right? Have 4, so 1 more is all we have. And that's all I want to do on this. Like I said, I just haven't super enjoyed this project. It's okay, but it's not something I'm super enjoying. It'll be cute when it's done. I do know that. Okay, there's 5. I'm going to run over and do the pressing. Okay, now all we have to do is put the sections together. So I just match up those little points right there and make sure they line up with each other pretty good. And I pop a pin in. I pop a pin. I clean up my threads too. Now you know why it takes me so long to get something done. So I stick my pin this way. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time, but you know, when you learn how to sew garments first, you're taught to put your pins like this, which you can. You know, the head's always down here, they're always face up, and they go straight towards the raw edge. But that was a hard habit to break, or I don't know if you need to really break it, but it works a lot better if you put the pins in like this for quilting, especially when you've got intersections. Because putting it in like that really does keep it where it needs to be, where it needs to stay together. And then when you get over here, if your pin is down far enough, your presser foot can continue, and then by the time you get over the part that's crucial that it lines up, you can pull your pin out. So I'm finding that's I'm forming a new habit, basically, is what I'm saying. And it's making my seams match up a lot better. Whatever you got to do, right, to get those seams to match up right. Some projects I'm not so particular on, but just to try to get a little more accurate for next year's fair quilt and any other type of competition I might want to be in. See, now you can, I don't know if you can see it, but there's the head of my pin. I can grab it and pull it out. I'm already past my little junction there with my stitches, so I can pull it out now. Continue on. But yeah, even on projects that you don't, you know, you're just kind of playing around, not really trying to be super accurate and whatnot, it might be good to change your mindset on that if you want to do some quilts that are for competitions and whatnot. Now this didn't turn out the best, but there again, I tried, and I'm continuing to try so that I can get better and better at that and not have to worry so much about it if it's a quilt that goes into some sort of competition. Let me see if I can do better on this one. That's what these little sampler projects are good for. You know what? You already paid for the box and all the materials to make the project. Hone some of your skills with them. And if they're not perfect, don't put them in a competition. If they are, if you're getting good, do it. Now this one has a little extra hangover, so I'm going to trim that. That's probably going to mess with the accuracy of this quilt going together, but I'll make it work. Okay. Alrighty, let's get these three unchained. Now all I have to do is go over to the iron and I open this seam, and I use my little pressing pin too to get that open, because it's kind of a tough seam, so I prefer to do that. Some of them are good, some of them aren't so good. This one's pretty good. This one's eh. And then this one, almost is good enough for me. Probably the worst one, I don't know, these first two probably. You see I cut off the top tip, and then I left too much of the top tip on that one. So those two are probably the worst. Let me do these, put them up on the board with the other ones, and see where I stand on getting this thing done. Okay, let's see how far I got here. That one goes like that. I'll probably take one big last long look at all of these before I start sewing the rows together. Figure out exactly where I want everything to go. Well, although it's one of those things too where you don't want to think about it too long, or you'll just be changing it up all day long. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, if I would have made 2 more, I would have had a complete row. Now let's see what goes here. One of these. I always get this wrong. It's not one of those. It's one of these. Right there. And then this is going to get cut right here. So I made up all my ends to start with. Probably a good thing, because I would have never finished it had I not. So I need 2 more there, and then 7 more on the bottom here, and I'm done. So that's that project getting closer and closer to an end. Definitely well over half now. Starting to see the end of the tunnel as far as making the wedges, but then we'll have to put all of these together, and that'll be a good half a day's work just doing that. That's okay, it's getting close. So I think I'm going to end the video here. Thank you for hanging out with me today. It's fun to chat with you and to sew along. Motivating for me, and I hope it was motivating for you as well. And I will see you back here on Friday for Finish It Friday. Come back and see if I have this finished. Ha ha ha. Like that's really going to happen. But I'll have something to show you. Alright, we'll see you then. Bye.